Hello and welcome to another episode of the NexusCast, where we discuss all the heroes and heroes of the storm and talk about different builds and how to use them. Today I'm joined by Grant LaDow, and we're going to have a very special Easter holiday episode and talk about Green Jesus, everybody's favorite orc in the Nexus. It's Thrall. Grant, how are you doing today?
I'm doing quite all right.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. Now, I know you've played quite a bit of Thrall. You've been with him through a lot of the big changes he's gone through. So let's kind of just get started. Um, what what were your initial impressions of Thrall?
Well, Thrall, I believe, was my second character I played. No, I lied. He's my third character I played. So when I first started the game, I played Vala, who I loved and still love, and I got her to level 10. And then I played Li Ming for quite a while, and I loved her. And then I realized I still wanted to play an assassin character at this time, so I decided to play Thrall because I think he was free for a weekend. And when I first played him, I was like, wow, I can go in and not die.
Yeah, it's a big change from playing somebody like Vala and Li Ming for sure. You can be near people without dying instantly.
Yeah, it's super nice.
Yeah, I think he's great, and a lot of that, if we want to just take a turn here and look at his abilities, are going to be because of his trait. So for those of you who don't know, Thrall is a melee assassin type hero, and his trait is called Frostwolf Resilience. Now it has a cooldown of 30 seconds before it can proc, but it deals damage. Dealing damage with abilities grants a stack of Frostwolf Resilience. Once Thrall has gained 5 stacks, he is instantly healed for 301 health, and that's going to stack 4% every level. So he has this innate healing that on his trait that just procs from using abilities. So he's somebody who definitely wants to be aggressive in combat and try to kind of go through his wheelhouse of abilities to make sure he's always getting topped off with health. Move.
And
Go ahead.
it's very different from like Li Ming's trait or Vala's trait, which kind of help them escape or help them continue getting kills, but his allows him to stay a little bit longer. So he does play incredibly different than most assassins do, where most of their traits or abilities help them escape, while his allows him to stay there for a little longer.
Right, with Li Ming, her cooldown resets are sweet because you can blow somebody up and start teleporting out or start working to take somebody else down. Vala's are helping stack up ability or attack power as she is shooting people, getting stacks of hatred, and that's really nice for trying to take people out or push people away.
And you usually normally take the one that also gives her movement speed while she's doing
Yeah,
this.
and then with those stacks you can get movement speed. Thralls, he's not interested in escaping. He's going to beat you down and keep his health on top.
It's great.
So it's sweet. It's a lot of fun, and we're going to talk a little bit more later. But it definitely kind of puts him in an interesting spot among assassins. But let's take a look at his Q ability as far as his basics go. It's Chain Lightning, a classic shaman ability from World of Warcraft. It costs 40 mana, has a cooldown of 6 seconds, and it blasts an enemy with lightning. It deals 178 damage at the beginning, scaling 4% every level. The lightning then bounces 2 times to nearby enemies within 7 range on the map. Those will deal 89 damage, also scaling 4% each level. So it's a really sweet ability there. It's great for wave clear and just picking off enemies as they run. Feral Spirit at W, another World of Warcraft themed ability here. 60 mana, cooldown of 12 seconds. He throws out a Feral Spirit. It deals 153 damage, scales 4% per level, to all enemies in its path. And once it hits an enemy hero, the wolf stops and roots that hero in place for 1 second. So a little bit of kind of crowd control, additional wave clear ability. And then 4 is Wind Fury. Mana cost is 65, and the cooldown is 12 seconds on this as well. It increases Thrall's movement speed by 30% for 30% for 4 seconds, and his next 3 basic attacks occur 100% faster, allowing him to move quick or hit hard. And hit hard. So it's a very sweet utility piece there.
It's good because it allows you to either finish off a chase where you throw up Wind Fury, he spins his little hammer and he chases them and he just whacks them 3 times and they die. Or if for some reason Thrall does need to escape, it does allow him to have a little bit faster movement speed away from the fight.
Yeah, it's essentially mounting up at this point where mounting's speed increase has been lowered. It's a quick boost of speed that most other heroes are not going to be able to match. We'll do a quick overlook at his heroic abilities as well. Sundering is a 75 mana, 70-second cooldown heroic, and after a half-second delay, he sunders the earth in a long line. It deals 290 damage with a scaled 4%, and it also shoves enemies to the side. It'll stun them for 1 second if it hits them like that. So very sweet, very visually impressive ability. Next up after that is then Earthquake, a 90 mana, 100-second cooldown. And then again, after half-second delay, you summon a massive Earthquake that pulses every 4 seconds. Each pulse lasts 2 seconds, slowing all enemies in the area by 50%, and it deals light 50% or 50 damage, scaling 4% every level. And it does 3 pulses, so that's 3 pulses, 1 every 2 seconds, or 1 over 2 seconds, and it slows everybody again by 50%. So very large area of effectability. So looking at those, Grant, like you mentioned, he's very tough, and his abilities really kind of seem to give him a really strong presence. In your experience, what is it with this kit that Thrall is doing best?
I think Thrall's best. One, as an assassin, he's pretty good at solo laning, which you can say about a couple assassins, but the reason that he's so good at it is because if someone comes down to contest the lane, he can 9 times out of 10 1v1 almost any other assassin hero. And there's quite a few tanks that he also can 1v1.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, he definitely
and
has great health. I mean, a great pool to be able to 1v1 somebody, and that Frostwolf Resilience, keeping him topped off makes him really hard to take down.
right, and I think he's also kind of a good setup. He has a long range root, which not exactly a Muradin root, not Muradin, Malfurion root or a Muradin stun, but it travels fast, grants him Frostwolf Resilience, and allows your team or even just you to engage in this person because you can start out with a Frostwolf Resilience, Wind Fury up, hit them 3 times with basic attacks, and then chain lightning them, and they're pretty weak at this time, and you just topped off your health.
Yeah, you're spinning through your wheelhouse as you go here, of abilities, and you can really deal out some quick damage if you engage with Feral Spirit right off the bat.
Right, and it's also a good escape tool. Like, say you're being chased by like 3 people, you can Feral Spirit the guy in front. He provides a body block. You Wind Fury away, and you're fine.
It's beautiful. It's the
It's
dream,
great.
and it's Thrall is the joke with Thrall is that he is Green Jesus, because you can't keep a good Thrall down, and he just keeps coming. He's hitting hard, and I think with that, like we mentioned earlier, he has a really special place with assassins because he is more of this bruiser role that doesn't technically exist in Heroes, but does exist in Heroes.
I think he kind of fits in with Sonya in that
Yes,
aspect,
absolutely.
where they're not going to be a major tank like ETC or Zarya, where they can provide this kind of control-y support going on, but they can get in, they can get some damage in, and they can get out, and they can be relatively fine as long as they don't get stuck. And
Right.
I think, and they did talk about the bruiser role recently and what they do with quick matchmaking. And I know that they put some healers not in the bruiser role, but they put them in a similar role. Like I know, like Tyrande is no longer like in the healer role, but
Absolutely.
she's in a different role, and I feel like Sonya and Thrall are in this bruiser role that doesn't exist but exists, like you said.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Other similar bruisers you could see are going to be people like Artanis.
Right.
These very middle, they're almost multi-class, like Varian even.
Right.
Where
Well, in
Varian's
Varian,
multi-class is different just because it's dependent on what his ultimate ability, his heroic ability is, but it's the same kind of idea where, this is a very aggressive but tough hero.
right, and I mean, I enjoy playing Thrall, but I feel like Thrall kind of, to me at least, Thrall needs a little bit more support than most other assassins to be able to kind of get in and do damage. Like having a Tacitor on your team really helps Thrall's potential because it, gives him this protection so he can go in and dive, get a couple damage out, maybe secure a kill, and still be completely okay because of the shield that was provided.
Well,
Sari is also a good person to pair up with Thrall, in my opinion, because once again, you get this ability to dive in and get out.
yeah, because with the shield and with Frostwolf Resilience, you could be walking off with a full health bar after having taken out a hero or two.
I do remember the first time I did play Thrall, you were playing old Tassadar. I don't know how much he's changed. I've never
Shield
played him that
Sentry
much.
Tassadar.
Yeah, Shield Sentry Tassadar, and
Boring but effective.
you and I were able to just walk in on a 1v3 and like get like 2 kills and walk out completely at full health.
Right, with you're the only person who's I'm just sitting back, I'm just putting a shield on you. That's about as far as I would go. It's essentially you shielded taking people out by yourself, and it
Oh,
was.
it was great. I don't know how effective that is now with the
Oh,
Tassadar
well, we
changes.
can make it work.
We can make it work.
It's no, don't worry about that. That's still there. That's still there.
Okay,
It
excellent.
still feels good. So he's a fantastic assassin, and um, I would say he's in a spot where if you like to play assassins but want to try out warriors, he's a good sort of way to make your move that direction. Similar to, Sonya, I would suggest. And if you're a tanky player who likes to, or if you're a warrior kind of player but want to start playing assassins, Thrall's the great option because he's still tough. He can walk into fights and get, not be as concerned as certain other melee heroes or assassins in general. But he's still going to be dealing that damage. Um, so really a cool hero that I would encourage a lot of people to try out. I believe, and I don't have this verified, I believe he's 4K right now as far as gold costs go in game.
I have no idea. I own him, so I can't look at that.
Yeah, I'm 80% sure that's accurate. So I would definitely suggest everybody to check that out. He is a great hero for that kind of thing if you're looking for somebody new to own. Um, Grant, before we move on to your general build that you like to do as you pick up as you're playing Thrall, is there anything else you want to add to just general discussion about him?
No, not anything that I can think of currently. But I'll be sure to tell you at the worst
As
possible time
that's
if I do.
when I like to hear it. All right, let's pull up then our icy veins here. And this build for everybody listening to our show, just remember you can check this out in the show notes on the YouTube description. We'll have the link to it there, so you can also follow along with the visual. Um, I've got our tier 1 choices pulled up here, Grant, and I'm just going to walk through them one to one, and we'll talk about them at the end of each tier, what you like to do. Um, Block is the first talent up on tier 1 here. It is just a generic block. Every 5 seconds, Thrall gains 75 physical armor against the next enemy hero basic attack, reducing the damage taken by 75%. He can store up to 2 charges on block. Rolling Thunder then is the next option. It increases Chain Lightning's range by 30%, and attacking enemies recently hit by Chain Lightning restores 10 mana. The tooltip for this does not have an exact number on how recent that has to be. Rabid Wolves is a Feral Wolf upgrade. Damaging heroes with Feral Spirit grants 3 stacks of Frostwolf Resilience. And then Seasoned Marksman, the generic talent here. It's a quest talent. Every minion killed near you grants 0.2 attack damage, and takedowns grant 0.5 attack damage. The reward for completing is upon gaining 40 total bonus attack damage, you can also activate Seasoned Marksman to increase your attack speed by 40% for 3 seconds. This activated ability has a 60-second cooldown. So looking at this, Grant, what are your preferred choices here?
Well, I almost always take Rolling Thunder. I think I've taken Rabid Wolves once and Block once. I've never taken Seasoned Marksman. But Rolling Thunder, having the increased range is really what matters here. It allows you to secure kills very easily, especially when you can, they'll go behind a tower or a wall and you just got done almost killing them and they made it out. You can just zap them across the wall. And when I play Thrall, I always will go zap when I get a kill from the 30% increase range, which is quite a lot. I enjoy it. I enjoy having it be. It's also a good lead off. You can start with Rolling Thunder. That way you can get some more mana back from casting it. And I think just having the ability to secure kills a little bit further range is very good for it.
Perfect. I like Rolling Thunder too. I think it's that additional range, really that securing kills. I find super key. I like that a lot. And then I think Rabid Wolves is sweet. Those extra stacks of Frostwolf resistance is awesome.
Right.
I like that a lot.
It brings it up quite a bit. But since Frostwolf Resilience still has that cooldown.
Yeah, that's true. You can't always be getting
right.
Yeah. So yeah, Rolling Thunder is what we're going to lock in here. We'll move on to Tier 4. Ride the Lightning. Chain Lightning can hit 2 additional enemies for 89 damage, scaling at 4%. That's the same amount as the normal extra 2 enemies that it hits. So a total of 5 now. Spirit Journey. Feral Spirit travels 50% farther. I just want to say Feral Wolves every time. It's not easy, man. It'll travel 50% further if you take Spirit Journey. Mana Tide. Frostwolf Resilience also restores 15 mana when it procs. And then another generic talent here, Envenom. A cooldown of 60 seconds, it's an activated ability. You can activate it to poison an enemy hero, dealing 352 damage over 10 seconds. So Grant, looking at these four, what do you prefer to do?
I normally take Ride the Lightning. It allows better wave clear. It allows you to get a couple more minions in the Chain Lightning when you do it. Mm-hmm. It's not really good for team fighting. If you were planning to team fight, I think Spirit Journey, which makes your Feral Spirit travel 50% farther, would be good. But out of all of them, I'm pretty sure Ride the Lightning is, in my opinion, the best answer to take. Feral Spirit can be helpful in team fights. It also can be helpful when you have a stealthy on the enemy team, because having that skill shot, being able to be a little bit further and a little safer, allows you to engage a stealth hero quite easily.
Sure, absolutely.
Mana Tide, I don't think it's really worth it. 15 mana for your Frostwolf Resilience is not a lot.
I agree. Yeah.
It's pretty bad. And then Envenom, I also think it's incredibly not worth it. 352 damage over 10 seconds. It might be able to secure you a couple kills, but...
Well, I think Envenom, I will say I generally would want to take Ride the Lightning as well. I do think Envenom is good if you want to be increasing your 1v1 potential. If there's some reason you think you're going to be doing some more 1v1ing in this match than normal, I would suggest Envenom. But in general, I definitely agree. I think Ride the Lightning is sweet.
Yeah, it helps you do the solo laning that I think Thrall has some pretty good talent at.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Moving on to level 7 talent tier here, Wind Shear reduces the cooldown of Wind Fury by 4 seconds. Just as a reminder, the base cooldown is 12 seconds for Wind Fury. Stone Wolves increases the duration of Feral Spirit's root from 1 second to 1.5 seconds. Follow through. After using an ability, your next basic attack within 6 seconds deals 40% additional damage. And then Frostwolf's Grace. Frostwolf Resilience can be activated to immediately restore health.
So I think follow through is the correct one to pick here, just because when Fury activates it, and when Fury allows you, it increases your attack speed by 100% for the next 3 basic attacks. So you're basically doing 120% damage extra. You're basically doing double damage with your next 3 basic attacks after you cast Wind Fury. It also allows you to follow up from Chain Lightning or follow up from from Spirit Wolves or Feral Spirit. I think it just has this. It's such a good way to increase Thrall's damage output. Wind Fury reduced by 4 seconds is pretty good. Having that be an 8-second cooldown instead of a 12-second cooldown is pretty nice. The duration of Feral Spirit's root from 1 second to 1.5 seconds is also nice, but I don't know if it's long enough for it to be really that big of a thing. I think it kind of looks at like Varian's new charge ability that he gets at level 4. So instead of stunning, it slows him from 75% to 85%. While noticeable, is not that much of a difference. And then looking at Frostwolf's Grace, I think you normally will heal pretty often with your abilities that you don't need that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said. I think the main problem with Frostwolf's Grace, it's some nice extra survivability. Again, maybe if you were super concerned about your 1v1 fighting, but I think follow through is not only the easiest to get value out of, but the least effort to set up or do anything with. You just have to use your abilities and be fighting, and that's exactly what Thrall wants to be doing anyway. I mean, it's just extra damage output for doing what he was already there to do, and I think that's beautiful. Um, so, easy pick. I agree. Follow through is the best option there. Um, Moving on back to his heroics, again, we have Sundering, and then we have Earthquake.
Sunder.
You're a Sunder man. They see now, for those of you who don't know, Sunder used to be the only option. Earthquake might as well have just been another option that pointed back to Sunder and said, pick this talent. But they did do some changes, and Earthquake is generally considered the go-to now. However, they've done some balancing. Sunder, I would say, is just as good a pick as Earthquake is still. So it's nice to see Sunder getting picked a little more often again. What do you
So
like
I
about
think
Sunder over Earthquake?
so. Give me one quick second.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think Sunder is better, in my opinion, when you have people that can act really quickly. The stun is a lot more aggressive than the slow. So if you can get the stun in, you also dealt 290 damage plus 4% per level. So you do quite a bit of damage from that. And then with the stun, if your team can act quickly, they're going to knock them down quite hard. Compared that to Earthquake, which allows for a bit more calculated attack. So you use Earthquake, and they're slow. They can still fight back. They can still use their talents, but you're going to be able to chase them down with what you want. So I think if your team isn't someone with bursty damage, like if you don't have a Vala or a Li Ming or people that can just take someone's health down from 100 to 0 real quick, Earthquake's the way to go.
Sure,
I've
yeah.
comp that can
The
just
longer the
get in
fight,
there.
the better Earthquake's going to be for you.
Right. And so I think Sunder is more fun.
It feels good.
I really like using it to finish off one hero. I know it's just a waste of an ult, but it only has a 70-second cooldown, so.
Yeah, it does. It feels great to just, oh, you think you're getting away? Sunder. And they just, you're like, you're Green Jesus, but it's like you're Moses in the moment because you part the ground and it's torn asunder, and so is their body.
It's wonderful.
It is a great, and it's just such a visually appeasing
Oh, it sounds so good.
appealing ability. It's wonderful.
It
So we're
sounds
gonna lock
amazing.
in. Yeah, it really does. We're gonna lock in Sunder here and move on to Talent Tier 13. Restless Wolves. If Feral Spirit hits an enemy hero, its cooldown is reduced by 50%. Now, 50% of 12 seconds at the base cooldown there, just a reminder. Grace of Air. Wind Fury attacks grant twice as many stacks of Frostwolf resilience. Giant Killer. Basic attacks against the enemy heroes deal bonus damage equal to 1.5% of that hero's maximum health. And Spell Shield. Both Spell Shield and Giant Killer are generic talents, but Spell Shield, every 30 seconds you gain 50 spell armor against the next enemy ability and subsequent abilities for 3 seconds, reducing all damage taken by 50%. You can toggle this on or off now to prevent it from triggering automatically. Um, so if you don't want it to trigger off of something like getting hit with Giant Killer, because Giant Killer's bonus damage is ability damage, and want to save it for when that Leeming throws out Arcane Orb, you can toggle it off until you see whatever reason you want it to be on coming at you. Um, just a fun tip.
Oh, that is a fun tip. I didn't know that. So normally here I take Giant Killer, like almost every time.
Okay.
Not just because at this point you have follow through, which makes your abilities, your basic attacks within 6 seconds deal 40% additional damage. And I know it doesn't stack with Giant Killer in the same way that something else would, but you're still doing a ton of bonus damage. And once again, you come in from Rabid Wolves into a Chain Lightning into a Wind Fury. You're going to do a lot of damage really, really quickly. But that being said, Grace of Air is also really good, because that means your Wind Fury attack will get you Frostwolf resilience every time.
Yeah. So yeah, Grace of Air is sweet for that self-sustain part of Thrall's kit. I love it. And then Giant Killer, bonus damage if you need it. I think most people know, but Giant Killer is specifically great against tanks.
Especially people like Cho'Gall who have this huge health pool.
Yeah, you'll be dealing an insane amount of extra damage to them. At 1.5%, it's still just a percentage, but because it's a percentage, it's always going to be the exact amount of percent rather than a certain amount of damage. So it's great if you're trying to take down somebody who has a huge health pool, but like Grant said, extra damage is always good. It's extra damage. I mean,
Right.
a lot of people joke. Well, a lot of people say, "Oh, giant killers should only be taken against tanks," but that's like the age-old joke that you shouldn't shoot Batman with Kryptonian bullets because that's Superman's weakness. They're still bullets. It's still gonna hurt him.
Right. And then Restless Wolves, I don't think it's really worth it. Cooldown reduced by 50%, but only if it hits a hero. Restless Wolves is actually is definitely his hardest ability to hit with.
The feral spirits or whatever.
Feral spirits, yes.
Red Wolf.
We're gonna have a bad time with that one.
Yep.
It's good, but once again, I think Giant Killer and Grace of Air are just so much better picks at this point. Spell Shield can be good. I'm not very good at using it, and I think the people that it would be used against, Thrall is pretty good at fighting them anyway. So like you can use it to block a Leeming Arcane Orb, or you could kill her.
Yeah, well, yeah, death is the best CC.
And Thrall's really good at hitting those squishy assassins.
Yeah, I think Spell Shield is a good one. It is really going to be comp dependent. But if you really need that self-sustain, I think on average you're going to have more luck with the Grace of Air option there. But if you keep getting targeted by Pyroblast, then sure you might want Spell Shield to reduce that damage by 50%.
Speaking of Pyroblast, I know it has nothing to do with like what's going on here.
Bring it on.
I got Pyroblasted 4 times as Varian in a game.
Just
so satisfying.
Blanked it every time.
Just use Protect, and it's like, nice try.
I found out that the interaction between Tracer's Recall and Pyroblast does not work the way I thought it would.
Does it not get rid of it?
It does not.
Oops.
You have to recall, I think if you recall, like right as it would hit you, it should blanket. I'm not sure if it worked because I haven't been able to pull it off.
I actually think it does work because I think I actually pulled it off in a brawl today.
Well, there you go. Uh,
But
so, fun fact about Pyroblast there. Don't be surprised if it kills you. But yeah, so we are locking in Giant Killer here.
yes,
Perfect.
with a very it's a soft lock. Grace of Air is
Soft lock.
pretty good.
Don't be afraid of Grace of Air, everybody. It's a beautiful thing. If you want a little extra sustain, it's a good option. Moving to Talent Tier 16.
Which has the best.
It's
the best.
I love Talent Tier 16 almost on every hero. We're looking at Forked Lightning. Allows Chain Lightning to hold 2 charges that can be used in quick succession. Tempest
I think it
Fury.
has a 1 second cooldown.
We have numbers on that. It's a 1 second cooldown.
I think it's around there. It's
Okay.
really short.
So 1 second or less, I would guess.
Yes.
For quick succession there. Tempest Fury, the final strike of Wind Fury, hits 3 times for 75% normal damage. Ride the Wind increases Wind Fury's movement speed bonus from 30% to 40%. Wind Fury attacks increase the movement speed duration by 1 second. And then Blood for Blood, a 60-second cooldown activated ability, can be activated to deal 10% of the targeted enemy's max health, and it heals for twice that amount. So we've got a lot of kind of cool options here. It is Talent Tier 16. This is a big jump in power level a lot of the time.
Right. So for this one, once again, I think this one is I think Tempest Fury and Forked Lightning are both equal picks here.
Okay.
I think Forked Lightning you would want to pick if you're going up against a bit more squishier people. You would be able to zap them twice.
Hit them from afar.
It's so nice, especially if you took Rolling Thunder at the beginning of the game, which you should have, no matter what you build. And Forked Lightning just is so good to just zap dead.
Perfect.
But Tempest Fury, the final strike of Wind Fury hits 3 times for 75% normal damage. That allows, I believe, Giant Killer to hit 3 extra times too.
Yes. So those are 3 extra Giant Killer hits. Yeah.
So your Wind Fury will hit 6 times, which will deal. Hold on, I gotta do math. It's really easy
9%.
math too. 9% damage of their health. Yeah, that's super easy math, and I knew it was 9%, but I wanted to double check so I didn't sound stupid.
You gotta know your numbers, yeah.
But now I sound stupid. No,
I'm sorry.
It's okay. No. I should have gotten it. I'm supposed to be good at that.
It's okay.
And so you get a ton of extra damage from Tempest Fury. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you know it also, I believe the 3 times also, and I might be wrong, but that's 3 more Frostwolf resilience.
Holy cow.
Or it might just be 1.
No, I wonder now.
Now I gotta wonder too.
Holy cow. That seems really good. I think.
Oh no!
Dealing damage with abilities grants 1 stack. Yeah, no, that's definitely it. So holy cow!
If you take Grace of Air into Tempest Fury, it grants 10 stacks of Frostwolf resilience, which allows you to heal twice over 30 seconds.
Oh my lord. He is green Jesus.
Yeah.
Performing miracles on the Nexus.
So Tempest Fury is a very, very good talent.
Dang.
Forked Lightning is also a very, very good talent.
Yeah, 2 charges on Chain Lightning. That's bonkers too. Especially if you have 30% range, hitting 5 targets.
I don't think Ride the Wind or Blood for Blood are good comparative to these 2. So Blood for Blood is very good on people like Vala.
No.
But
you mean for her having Blood for Blood?
Right.
Okay, I was like, you don't want to use Blood for Blood on Vala.
No, of course not. You want to use it on a tank. But In most cases, I would say pick Blood for Blood if you have a chance. But since Thrall already has a self-heal, and at this point, you can either make his self-heal bigger, or you can get 2 stacks of a really good ability. I think Blood for Blood, it just doesn't have the damage output that it normally does. And you already have a self-heal, so you don't need to worry about that. I just think overall, Forked Lightning and Tempest Fury are just way better abilities here.
You've sold me on that. I have a hard time. I just love Blood for Blood, but looking at those, we were arguing about Tempest Fury before the show started, Grant, and I don't think I fully caught on to what you were saying at the time, but the 3 additional strikes hitting, proccing Giant Killer each, is just nuts in my mind.
Also, if you follow through, those do 40% more damage as well. So
the very first one will, because
the very first one. You're right.
Yeah, the very first one will hit extra damage, and then you'll hit again, and then you'll hit 3 more times. So wow, and those are all Frostwolf resilience. So that's silly. Oh my goodness. Okay, so which one do you want to lock in? The Forked Lightning, or do you prefer?
I normally pick Forked Lightning, but after this talk, and like I knew
it's got me hyped on the Tempest Fury.
I'm gonna
just thinking about it.
Soft lock Tempest Fury here.
Okay, but if you need additional that if your Chain Lightning is helping you pick up people in the back line, your Janas, your Chromies, Forked Lightning is, holy cow, still really good. 2 charges on that ability is powerful.
All right.
But we're hyped up on Tempest Fury right now, so we just got to keep rocking and rolling here. Storm talents. We are looking at Worldbreaker. Sunder travels indefinitely.
So useless, but so fun.
So fun. Earth and Shields. Allies within the earthquake area gain a shield equal to 15% of their max health each pulse. This shield lasts for 4 seconds. Nexus Blades. Basic attacks deal 20% more damage and slow enemy movement speed by 20% for 1 second. And then Bolt of the Storm. Activate to teleport to a nearby location. It's an activated ability with a cooldown of 70 seconds. Grant, what are you doing here?
So, if I'm winning, I take Worldbreaker.
You like Worldbreaker, okay?
No, if I'm winning, I take Worldbreaker. Let me phrase that very, very obviously. Worldbreaker is a bad ability, but it feels super good. Fun. I think the only time I've ever done anything remotely helpful with that is there was one time we were on Dragonshire, and there was a team. I was in the top lane by myself, and there was a team fight going on the bottom, and I Worldbreaker all the way to the end, catch a stun, and then the team fight goes through, and it's amazing. But I've never done anything cooler than that. I mean, that's really cool, but I've never done anything remotely as useful as that. I think I've never even hit anyone with Worldbreaker, as far as I know.
It just looks good. It looks fun. Oh, but so beyond the flash and flare of Worldbreaker, what is it that you like to choose?
If you go Earthquake, Earth and Shields is great. Earth and Shields turns team fights. Their enemies are slow. You have a ton of health, and you're able to just walk in and just saunter up to the nearest hero and just kick their ass almost every time.
Sure.
They're slow. You're better. It's great. If I go Sunder, Nexus Blades is really good because once again,
you're just
with Tempest Fury.
Yeah.
That's 20% more damage from those 3 damage plus. It's ridiculous. It's so good. But Bolt of the Storm is also really good with Sunder because you can teleport into a position they're not expecting, Sunder, cut off their team, and force a team fight that they can't win.
Yeah, so you can, because Sunder bumps them around, so you can kind of Sunder them in a way that it'll push their people into your team. Or cut off their team or something. Yeah, that's smart. I like that. That's a clever way to use Bolt of the Storm, I guess. I usually just take Nexus Blades, I would think.
Yeah, I take Nexus Blades most of the time, but Bolt of the Storm is a very solid pick.
Yeah, Bolt of the Storm, as a generic talent, still is just very powerful. Being able to teleport, it's got a pretty wide range. It's good. But
That's why Li Ming is great. She has Bolt of the Storm for level 1.
yeah, sorta. Yeah. Uh, Nexus Blades. So is Nexus Blades your option? Is your what you put in then?
If you pick Sunder, Nexus Blades. If you pick
Okay.
Earthquake, Earth and Shields.
Earth and Shields. All right. So we've got you locked in here. So we've got the build. Again, it'll be in our show notes in the YouTube description. Um, and I think that completes everything with that. Grant, do you have any kind of parting words of wisdom after we've had our discussion here on Thrall?
Praise be unto him. He is the savior. He will respawn in 3 days.
That's a terrible death timer. All right. Well, perfect. I really appreciate you coming out and talking about Thrall. He's a great hero, and I think you've really kind of laid out a sweet build for people to be trying out. And I hope everybody enjoys, has had a great Easter Sunday, and remember, pick Green Jesus. Praise
Praise be
be,
unto him.
praise be unto him. We'll see you guys next time in the NexusCast.